It is.
You cannot lead people out who do not want. Kenyans and parliamentarians did not want these amendments.
Kenyans and parliamentarians did not want the amendments.
It is really unfortunate that because of the way the law was crafted, which I take part of responsibility.
Thank you.
Because of the hurry that we went through, the country was in a state of in a state that all of us did not like. So we passed the law, but it does not mean that now that we can see clearly, there are issues, and they are not small-time issues. I want to persuade Martha. The same way we came together and passed one afternoon the National Accord, changed the Constitution, established the Grand Coalition government, shared power. What stops us as a country at this point in time for a constitution that we have waited for 20 years? What stops us from one afternoon changing the act, amending the Constitution, bringing these amendments, passing them, and take a draft that unifies the country into the referendum?
What will worry me is people who cannot keep their word. Because even if we now say this is the section, then you can backtrack the way you are backtracking on the Naivasha issue. And yes, we are in a hurry to get a new constitution. I want to remind Kenyans, we do not have an electoral commission. We have an interim one whose mandate expires next year. We need to have an electoral commission to lead us to change in leadership when the time comes. We also need new electoral laws, so we need a body to steer that. We do not have security. In Kenya, we have security issues. We need this constitution to open the door for us, for the administration and regular police to have one chain of command and to be delinked from politicians by the new police authority that will come in. We need security now and during elections. We need a judiciary that can be an arbiter. The ODM in which Ruto is in refused to go to court when the dispute arose saying they don't trust the judiciary. Are we going to go to another election without an arbiter? We need this constitution to open the way for us to reform the judiciary. That and the very many other issues I have mentioned are major issues we cannot wish away. We cannot play poker with the constitution, keep on reopening negotiations and closing them the way we have done the last 20 years.
Time is not on our side, Honorable
Kenyans.
It is really unfortunate that at this point in time, the thing that moved us to look for a new constitution was an imperial presidency and marginalization. If we don't sort out those two things, and this constitution does not sort out those two things, we are back to square one, even if we pass this constitution. The only tragedy is that once we pass this constitution, we are locked in it. It's made of steel, you cannot change it, you need a high threshold, and people are intentionally becoming unreasonable. And I want really to challenge us, me and Martha, because we've been in this process for long, that it is possible for us to agree on the sections that are bringing contention. Otherwise, we will drive this constitution into splitting Kenyans and ending up with either no document or a document that will divide this country into two.
So are you telling Kenyans that you have just discovered after Naivasha that the constitution is cast in steel, cannot be amended? I don't believe that myself. I know we consciously went for the threshold knowing it is possible. I also want to say this, that if we keep on moving in circles, agreeing and not agreeing, approbating and reprobating, you say yes, you say no. Even we are confusing Kenyans. They will not know what we mean.
I think Kenyans know what they want.
So what I'm thinking is that we better own up that those who now want the constitution reopened have had a rethink. And it is good to explain to Kenyans where the rethink is coming in. I will reiterate that for me, I stand by the things we did in Naivasha. I stand by the agreements we made. I will not throw the baby to the COE for things they didn't do, and I will accept advice of experts. So where the COE edited, I will accept. We are not the only Kenyans as parliamentarians.
Where the
COE
changed?
Also has Kenyans. The COE is kind of the referee on behalf of Kenyans, that if we go beyond the mandate in Naivasha, then the COE can edit. we cannot be experts in everything. That you will be an expert in law, you'll be the medical doctor, you can't listen to the doctor. Let's learn to take advice. I think we must move forward.
No,
all right, as we move forward,
the committee of experts, unfortunately, became hostage to a section of the people who want this constitution. That is why they frustrated any effort for Parliament to make an input into the document. They frustrated the negotiations we wanted to go to in Naivasha. They scuttled Naivasha too. They scuttled, the forces around the committee of experts. And they told us they don't want even a comma to be changed because they had already negotiated what they wanted into the document. And that is why they frustrated every effort for a whole parliament elected by the people of Kenya to make an input into the document. As we are talking, Parliament, in its setup as Parliament, except for the Select Committee, made no input into this document. It was brought to Parliament, we tried to amend it, it was frustrated by people who believe that as long as what they want is in, every Kenyan should live with it, or they can go to hell.
Well, it's now going to go to a referendum. It's going to be subjected to the public.
May I say two things? Yep. That most of the contentious issues in Naivasha were resolved after thorough discussions with William Ruto. That there was a joke in Naivasha that these consents are between Martha Karua and Ruto, and it is an unholy alliance. That's what the chairman was joking. So for you, William, to try to distance yourself from Naivasha, you are not being fair. And let me say two other things you have said. That the Constitution does not fix the imperial presidency. It does. I've already said this is a term president who will be accountable to people the way we have seen the American president being accountable.
Where you have a weak Senate, it has
marginalization.
No Senate.
It even has an equalization fund that will take funds, 0.5% of all the revenue raised, which will be between 30 to 50 billion each year, to the marginalized areas to enable them to catch up. Why do we want to deny Kenyans 15% of the funds that are going to go to the counties, 2% of that still goes there through CDF, which makes it 17.5, and about 30 billion to the marginalized areas? How better can it get than it is in the new constitution?
Can I correct you?
What do you have to offer to Kenyans
Can I correct
in
you?
lieu of the goodies in the constitution?
Can I correct you, Martha?
Go ahead.
The 15% we put in the draft. Today, the funds that go to the grassroots is more than 15%. Today.
Just tell me how much Latif goes.
It is more than 15%.
Latif is about 7.5. CDF is 2.5. That is 10.
At roads.
Now, all those funds will be there because they are by an act of parliament.
We
are having CDF 15%, and then all those others, roads and everything. It will be more than 20%.
It is, you know, this is now where they confuse issues.
Clearly.
Because what is happening is, the reality is that with this arrangement, we will have less money going to the grassroots. In fact, CDF itself is unconstitutional, and Martha knows.
It is not. It is administrative things are by an act of parliament.
CDF itself, as it stands today, if it were taken to court, it will be challenged.
All right.
Now with the Senate,
it better be, because
and now with the Senate, that will actually, the Constitution confers authority on devolved funds. There will be no other fund going to the grassroots except the 15%.
Isn't it a beauty for Senate to audit devolved funds? Because today, CDF is never audited by any other watchdog, because we have become implementers as well as policyholders.
But let us look at how much money will go. What will be the benefit to the grassroots?
17.5.
Apart from the money that goes there today, which is more than the money we are proposing, which is 15%, and with a bureaucracy that we are establishing that is basically going to eat up that money.
Why did you agree to it in Naivasha, William? I urge Kenyans to actually read, since we cannot agree